All right, why don't we go ahead and get started? We may have a few folks join us later, but we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We've got a lot of material to cover. I just want to say hello. Again, my name's Kevin Mills with Action Coach of Lake Houston, and welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Our topic today is actions to manage really any crisis. I know specifically it's speaking to the COVID-19 crisis that we're dealing with our businesses today. But the principles and the insights that we'll share really do apply for any business that's in a crisis. So I'm going to go ahead and uh, get us going and get us started. If there are any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to throw those into the chat room and we can look at those. I'll have some time for Q&A at the end. And with that, I'll also recommend taking notes during the webinar on things that you can apply in your business right now. And then we can certainly talk about those as you have questions at the end. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And the first thing we want to talk about is around mindset. Mindset is so important in terms of how we think about and think through the anxiety and stress that we have. And so it's important to plan and have a mindset of planning instead of falling into the mode of panic. Now is really not the time to panic. It's really a time for us to be thoughtful. And it's making sure that we are planning for our teams and leading our teams and doing so with a mindset of, are we planning to win and not just planning not to lose? So it's a difference between having a defense mindset or an offense mindset. Most games aren't won by defense-only strategy, right? We need to make sure that we are proactive and that we are looking ahead on actions and strategies we can put in place to address the new normal that we're dealing with. Also, we want to make sure that we are leading and not lagging. This is our chance to get ahead of this situation and create a solid business plan for our business. We want to make sure that we don't just allow the crisis to act upon us, that we're acting upon it, being proactive, being intentional in our leadership and in our decision-making process. Make sure we lead with facts and faith and not with fear. And being a leader is so important right now for our teams, for our customers, and for our general business community. They're looking to us to really lead them through this crisis. Next is around responding versus reacting. Response, if you think about it, it really requires us to pause and to perform some critical thinking before we make a decision. Response creates this intentional gap between stimulation and the action or decision that's made, and making sure that we don't fall into a reaction mode mentality during this situation. Also, we need to make sure that we as business owners are the solution providers, coming up with innovative and creative new ways to offer our product and service and maintain contact with our client base. And then finally, looking at how we can adjust and pivot our business to meet the new normal that's out there in the evolving marketplace that we're dealing with. It's really reassessing our target market, our target audience, understand what are the new needs that we can serve them with the resources we have available. It means developing a new game plan for your business, a short-term 90-day, 100-day game plan. And also important to be a first mover in adapting to the changing conditions that we see. And that can often make the difference in your business, being able to provide an opportunity here to gain market share or gain wallet share, especially as we come out of this chapter, because we know that this is temporary, there is an endpoint, and there is an expectation in many industries that there'll be pent-up demand that you can take advantage of if you plan and prepare properly to do so. And then the new normal that we're dealing with just to go back to that, is really one that is important to realize that the changes we're going to see on the other side of this pandemic. And when we come out of this containment period, this containment chapter that we're in, how can you anticipate changes to your marketplace and take advantage of those changes that are happening? What is the new normal going to look like for us as a society? So moving through the actions, I have 20 actions I want to go through here. And before we do that, I wanted to just take very quickly, just to take a quick poll and just to see where everyone is. So starting off with mindset, I want to launch this quick poll, and it's an anonymous poll. If you could just answer kind of where are you at right now with mindset? Just thinking about today, right now, and it's multiple choice. Just pick which one that you are right now. And you may be that last one where you're just binge watching some of these TV shows right now because you're bored out of your mind. I know a lot of people are there and you see it on Facebook, but just provide an answer kind of where you think you are, and then we can show the poll results later. All right, so starting with step one on communicating. Communicating is really one of the most important areas of the actions, and it's really around these 5 areas: the who, the what, when, where, and how. So this quote here is an excellent one. When it comes to crisis communication, if you always focus on building a relationship with your customers or your fans and your followers, you'll always find yourself communicating in the right direction. So looking at the who is really tailoring your message to the audience that you're speaking to. The what is making sure we stick with the facts of what we communicate, and we'll have more on that later on a later slide. When speaks to the frequency and the cadence of how often we should communicate for each of those categories. And it can be different for each group. And then finally, the how is how are we going to communicate? What technology do we need to put in place and utilize to communicate effectively to each audience group? And making sure that our message does 3 things right now: is empathize with the situation, engage, and then educate. And I think doing it in that order is very important. You need to establish trust with the audience you're communicating with. It may be your team, maybe your clients or suppliers. So empathizing with them on the challenges they're dealing with, engaging with them on solutions, and then especially for your team and your customers, educating them on products and services that you can still provide to them right now. We also want to make sure our communication addresses FUD. FUD is what Action Coach defines as fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So that really gets back to the empathize portion of that communication. And the fear, uncertainty, and doubt is going to be pretty common across all categories that you see listed there. Your team for sure has a lot of FUD. Customers may have certainly some uncertainty on the product that they did buy from you previously. Does that look different? Your networks, suppliers, and stakeholders for your business, and then the general community as a whole. So making sure our communication is tailored to each of these different audience categories. All right, step number 2 is to be positive in our communication. And I think this is a great quote by John F. Kennedy here that talks about the Chinese and how they use 2 brushstrokes to write the word crisis. One brushstroke stands for danger, the other for opportunity. So in a crisis, be aware of the danger, but also recognize the opportunity. Look for the opportunity in the crisis. Panic and worry never helps, and it actually inhibits us from being able to see opportunity when it's there. Also, look for small wins, even if it's just every hour. It helps if you create a new set of scorecards that are short-term based that can measure the activities you can take now. And then as you complete those, celebrate those completions, celebrate those small wins, especially with your team as you adjust the things you're giving them to do. A great one is an opportunity if you could sell toilet paper or sanitizer right now. That would be a tremendous win. But sometimes also what we're feeding ourselves every day is important to our mindset and keeping a positive attitude. If we look at the news and the media, we're not going to come out of that with a positive attitude. Typically, it's going to create more worry and anxiety and stress. So sometimes limiting your news intake to once a day, twice a day max at certain periods of the day, and not just have it flowing, whether it's through social media or through the TV or radio. Limit the news right now so you can focus on your business. And finally, leading your people. Be positive in how you lead your people. They're looking to you to create stability and confidence for them. Step number 3, don't argue the facts. Um, in the absence of facts that frightens people, the gap you open into which they pour their fears, fantasies, and desires. And that couldn't be more true. In fact, Action Coach defines fear as false expectations appearing real. So we want to make sure that we address and accept the facts we know, and we agree that a lot of when this started out, it was a lot of hearsay and opinion. We didn't know a lot of facts, and as we move forward in this, we're moving kind of out of this chapter of the unknown into the chapter of the known. And as we become more educated on the situation, it should allow us to make better decisions and be able to respond, not react, but respond appropriately to the new information we're getting. Accept the new normal, accept it, and then move on, and let's look at addressing it. Understanding that this pandemic period is a chapter, it should be in months. We're not talking years, and there will be a rebound as we come out of this. Understanding the facts around our supply chain and the impacts to that, our suppliers, and if there are going to be risks and challenges or barriers created from that and how to address it, maybe a chance to look at alternate suppliers for your business. And then distribution, again may need to change as you innovate your product and service. How will you deliver it to your customers? How are you going to distribute that? And how does that need to change? Step 4 is know the cycles of a crisis, of a season is really what we're dealing with. This is a quote by Yoko Ono that really does help. If you read it a few times, it really does explain the 4 seasons of nature, and you can apply that in your business. It has 4 seasons also. So as you read this, it says, spring passes and one remembers one's innocence. Summer passes and one remembers one's exuberance. Autumn passes and one remembers one's reverence. And winter passes, one remembers one's perseverance. That last sentence is so important right now because we are in the winter season right now, and perseverance is going to be really important. We know that we had a very long summer economically. We had a long period of growth, of healthy economic conditions, and we really, unfortunately, didn't get to experience much of a fall. We didn't get a lot of warning before we went straight into this winter season. But summer is a time where if you are a wise business leader and a business owner, the summer is a time you put aside reserves aside to cover you through the winter period, because it's important to realize winter always comes for our business, just like in nature. It's always going to come around. Use that summer season to put aside resources to cover you through the winter season and to plan for that period. And then important now, while we're in winter, that spring is coming, and spring is that growth opportunity. When we come out of this, how are we going to understand and address the pent-up demand that we have for our product or service? And how can we make sure we get ahead of that, take advantage of that opportunity to capture that revenue opportunity? And remember, there's different management and leadership strategies for each of the 4 seasons. All right, moving to step 5, and that's around change. The only constant in life is change. We've all heard that. And it's knowing how to get ahead of the change and leading it, knowing that for us and for our team, that change is always uncomfortable, it's unnatural. And so how do we overcome that? The formula the action coach uses to overcome change is listed here. It's D times V plus F is greater than R. That's a greater than symbol. The D stands for dissatisfaction. The V stands for vision. So you need an equal part of both dissatisfaction and vision. And then that allows you to take the first steps, and those first steps to overcome the resistance to change. So the F is first steps, the R is resistance to change. So if we only have dissatisfaction and we don't have a vision, that won't be enough to take the first steps. And alternatively, if we only have vision, but no dissatisfaction with the status quo, we'll never move off dead center to take the first steps to overcome resistance. That's why the formula is set up as it is, so that it's an equal part of both D and V. How do you create that for your team when you're trying to change? You have to be dissatisfied with where you are today, but you have to balance that with a vision of where you want to be. And that will drive your team in your organization to take those first steps in changing, in moving the direction you want to take the business. Thinking about change around all of these areas, products, your services, pricing may need to change right now, delivery and staffing. And keep in mind, as we come out of this, if you're expecting a huge uptick in demand and an immediate backlog for your product or service, maybe an opportunity to temporarily increase prices to manage that demand, and take advantage of being able to pull in some profits to cover this period of winter that we're in. And then looking at the entire business model as a whole and looking at opportunities to just completely innovate that. Step 6 is saving your resources. How can we save resources, as we talked about in this winter season? The cost cutting here has to be top priority in a crisis. The key is to lower costs intelligently and flexibly, and so to minimize the long-term repercussions from those cost-cutting decisions. So that's going to be very important, but we need to understand how is our cash flow health during this time. We need to make sure that that cash flow is able to sustain us through this period. Look at slowing down or stopping spending, especially on projects. If you're looking to implement a new software or any other large projects that are going to consume cash, delay those, postpone those, or even cancel them in some cases to allow you to hold on to that cash right now. Also, a great opportunity to leverage credit. Credit is low, money is cheap right now, and so it's an opportunity to refinance or even to take out loans. And as you know, with the CARES Act, gives us an opportunity to do so at very low interest rates. Also, on existing lines of credit or existing even credit cards, renegotiate those terms now. Take advantage of reducing your interest rates in those payments as much as possible. And then most importantly, this last bullet, continue to do your marketing and selling of your product. This is an area you don't want to cut because you need to continue to market and sell and maintain interest and exposure of your brand to the marketplace. Step 7, use your credit. Great quote by Bob Hope. A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove that you don't need it. Which is so true. But look at OPM, look at other people's money. Can you get it now while they're still lending? Look at, again, getting out a line of credit. Find the lowest interest rates you can as soon as possible, even for your credit cards, and look at refinancing if you have an opportunity to do so. Even on a personal level with your home, rates are low at historic lows, opportunity to refinance and reduce your mortgage payments. So yes, look at any opportunity to reduce your cost and utilize credit both for your business and for your personal areas. Number 8, step 8 is so important. Staff appropriately, and this is a challenging time to manage our staff right now and the costs that come with that. One way to reduce the need for layoffs would be to cut back on hours, spreading the available work among employees. Great advice there. Look at adding or subtracting to align with your market. And how can you do other things like use vacation time right now where possible? If you have to make the tough decision to lay off, try your best to do it all at once or in some combination with some attrition. That allows you then to go back to your team and communicate with confidence that the actions have been completed and that their jobs are secure. And it just helps allow your team to move past that area of anxiety. Sometimes a pay cut may be an option in order to keep your team, but reduce those costs. And definitely any bonus programs you have probably need to be adjusted during this time. Step 9 is around your operational plan. And here the quote is, the option to work from home when needed or to try a different lifestyle without having to change jobs is a win for everyone. So I think a lot of us are adjusting to the new normal of a virtual workplace and trying to work from home effectively and stay in contact with our team and our clients and customers. So virtual office capabilities and understanding how to use technology uh, to be an enabler instead of a barrier to our process. Assess the technology options you have out there. Certainly Zoom, you've got other tools like Skype, Microsoft Teams are great ways to maintain visual exposure to your clients and your team members. Looking at meetings and reporting and how are those going to need to be adjusted right now, and maintaining regular cadence of contact with your team and adjusting the metrics and scorecards to measure their activities right now. Customer service really must not suffer. In fact, it probably needs to get better during this time. And then making sure we understand our payments and receipts processing to make sure there's no concerns or risks there. Policy changes. This is where you have an opportunity to improve customer service. Perhaps you're removing the hassle or penalty or cost associated with returns and refunds. You're making it easier for your customers to take care of those exception-based transactions. This is a great way for you to go above and beyond and to provide, over-deliver on your customer experience for them. And then finally, your metrics may need to change, especially if you've got team members that you still have employed, but are now doing so from home. How do you change their scorecards to measure the critical activities that they're doing on a daily basis, always with line of sight to the goals you're trying to achieve? So making sure that they're directly linked to outcomes that you want to have in the business. Step 10 around online or deliveries. And this is an example where a lot of businesses, CVS Pharmacy included, where they're waiving the delivery fee for delivery of their product during the containment period. So the question is it possible? Can you add delivery capability and capacity to your business? Or online or phone delivery? Are there any product or retail items that can complement the service you provide that you could at least generate some revenue stream during this period and maintain that contact with your client base? Look at changes to the roles in your team. How do you need to adjust what they do and get them retrained or cross-trained to support a delivery-based business? And understanding that we need to take the business to them because they're not able to come to us now. And how can we adjust and pivot our business plan so that the product or service can be taken to them. It may require you to reconfigure your space, or even add on space to be able to handle this. I know a lot of restaurants have had to reconfigure their space to accommodate takeout, and to be able to keep and maintain that social distancing while still providing their product to their customers. And then most importantly, any changes you're making, make sure you re-educate your customers on that change, communicate with them, make it easy for them to understand what you're offering and make it easy for them to buy and to perform that transaction and to take delivery of that product. All right, so I'm going to do another quick poll. Let me see if I can get this back up here. All right, so we're going to take the second one is around client contact. So let me launch it. If you'll just answer this question, how are you maintaining contact with your clients right now? And just, it's a multiple choice, so pick which ones you're using today, and then we'll show the results of that here later. And while you're filling that out, we'll continue to move forward here. All right, so moving to step 11, and that is around our marketing plan. For a business, not to advertise is like winking at a girl in the dark. You know what you're doing, but no one else does. It's a great quote, but it's so true for business. If no one knows what we're modifying and changing in our business plan, it's not going to get noticed. So we've got to communicate and over communicate. We must maintain and keep marketing, and even increase it in some cases during this time. WIFM is an acronym that stands for What's in it for me, and that's really coming from your customer's viewpoint. So what's in it for them? That's the messaging you need to have in your marketing. It needs to be market facing and not business facing. So it's really a completely different approach to marketing your business to your target audience and making sure that they fully understand the benefits and the outcomes we're going to get from buying that product. Great time right now to create offers and rates for your customers. And also important to continue measuring your 5 ways numbers. So if you're a client of Action Coach, you know that these are one of the most critical areas of metrics and KPIs that we measure on a weekly basis with every single client. It's understanding how many leads are you getting still each week? What percentage are converting to clients? How much are they spending each time they buy? And how frequently are they buying from you? How frequently can they buy from you? And then finally, around margins, pricing strategy, things of that nature. How can we make adjustments to that? And also in terms of the payment terms, look at where you can get cash up front, again, to manage your cash flow and the health of the cash in the business. Step 12 is around sales. And the category here is around repeat business. So we're talking about your existing clients. The quote here is every contact we have with a customer influence whether or not they'll come back. We have to be great every time or we'll lose them. And that couldn't be more true right now. Existing customers are the best customers. And we've got to do everything we can to keep them. And we have to work harder right now to keep them. So look at creating deals. Look at bulk buys. Also make sure you're getting cash up front. Look at ways that you can customize your product or service to meet what they need. So maybe you even ask them in ways that you contact and reach out to your clients and your customers, what do they need right now? And see how you can creatively satisfy that need. And look at whatever you do, keep them at all costs. And this needs to be a mindset for you and each person on your team of looking at ways to creatively maintain contact with your customers and be able to provide what they're needing at this time. The next category under sales is around new business, which a lot of people are probably stuck in the mindset of I'm not going to be able to get any new business during this winter season. I'm shut down. Not always the case. Understand your competition is challenged in the same ways you are right now. What opportunities are there to sell what your customers need? Change your unique selling proposition, change the guarantee that goes around that. Look at communicating and educating on the offer that you're providing, and change your marketing. And the marketing is around the 5 P's that I've got listed here: product, price, promotion, place, and people, which is who you're marketing to. That's your target audience. Understanding that target may be changing right now for your business. It may be adjusting. And so looking at how that might look, and how it will influence the way you market your business. Step 14 is having common sense and compassion as a leader. The key is to set realistic customer expectations, and then not to just meet them, but to exceed them, preferably in unexpected and helpful ways. So Action Coach really does coin this as our critical non-essentials, our CNEs, and it's providing more than what the customer has purchased. So it's over delivering on customer experience. It's all around creating a customer experience that will create raving fans for your business, so that they're going to refer you to others. They're going to tell other people and create word of mouth about your business and the service they received. Making sure you have policies in place around clean and don't touch for your team, and making sure you're over communicating those policies to your customers to give them peace of mind in doing business with you right now. Provide them free sanitizer when they come. When you deliver a product, maybe you deliver a bottle of sanitizer if you're able to get any, or making sure that you're able to accommodate their concerns with buying that product. Making sure that we put people first, and understanding, again, it's that going back to the communication, empathize first, and then educate. And if we do it in that order, we'll be much more successful educating them and engaging them, if the empathy comes first. And making sure that we're just plain old nice. Be nice to people, and they're going to be nice back to us. It's a challenging time. All of us are under a lot of stress and anxiety. So this is just a great golden rule principle to remember. Step 15, let's think about things that have not changed during this time. Certainly the weather, the seasons, there's people still having accidents out there. We still eat and drink and socialize, even though it's online. For as far as the socialization, there's still contact that's happening, communication with friends, families, neighbors, and in our community. So what else is going to stay the same as we come out of this? Or what is new opportunity going to look like as we come out of this chapter? Step 16 is all about money. And this is where, if you have money, a crisis is a tremendous opportunity to buy in certain areas. Stock, real estate, other businesses are going to potentially be at a bargain right now. Money is certainly cheap in terms of getting more money through credit. And also learning through this winter season as we come out of it, that when we come through the next spring and summer, that we save for the next winter and can take advantage of these opportunities to be an investor and not just a business owner. And remembering that there's always a next time, there's always another crisis that can provide those unique opportunities that happen. Step 17 around team. Without leaders, followers will simply follow each other off the cliff. That is unfortunately very true, but we have to realize that there are few leaders and there are many followers. We as leaders need to make sure that we leverage our resources through our team. Now is the time to focus on the people and not the crisis. We need to solicit their feedback so that we can adjust and pivot our business model based on the input they provide. A lot of times our team members have excellent ideas, and sometimes they're going to come at it from a different angle than you would as an owner. So it's important to solicit and consider the input and feedback they can provide. Over communicate, especially in terms of this time right now. Be honest and upfront and let them know, the concerns and risks of the business, but solicit them and pull them in to help solve and create solutions. Be a little bit flexible right now with your team. Be willing to bend the rules a little bit. It will certainly pay for itself down the road with the loyalty they'll have to you and the business. Making sure that you're advising, directing, and leading, but also use your team right now to create a connection with your brand and your customers. Allow your team members, if they have been in the past internal facing roles where they basically were in the business, and now right now it's so important to look outside the business and reach out to your clients. Use those resources to help do so. Have them reaching out through Facebook media, social media. Have them calling your A clients and have a script prepared for them to call and just check on them and see how they're doing, and maybe give them some tips or some advice or education about your product or service. Remembering that the old systems you had may no longer apply in this environment. All right, step 18 is around compassion. Compassion as a leader is really falls into that servant leadership mindset and mentality, and knowing that it is so much worse for many other than you. So being empathetic, being genuine, slowing down, so that you can understand the emotions of the people around you, whether it's your customers or it's your employees. Be aware of what's going on, be aware of the emotion, and maintain a sense of calm with them to give them confidence as the leader that you're going to lead them through this crisis. It really helps right now if you have the opportunity and you want to become a better leader to learn about human psychology. It really does help you become more effective, not to manage, but to truly lead. And there's a tremendous difference between those two roles. Step 19, create a plan. So the first bullet is so true. Anxiety grows when there is no plan. If you're taking a shotgun approach and you're just reacting to the circumstances that you're getting hit with every day, you're never going to get ahead. And so it's developing a plan for the next day, the next week, and the next month, so that we can anticipate the impacts of the business and our plan addresses those. And we can invest where opportunity exists. So some questions to ask ourselves in developing a plan: how can we market our business during this pandemic, during this containment period? How can we get sales with fewer leads coming through? And how can we operate our business with less revenue? How can we continue to operate effectively? And then the final step here is step 20, around learn, plan, and act. Procrastination comes from perfection and leads to regret. So it is better to take action without it being perfect. Don't allow yourself to procrastinate in taking action, right? Create an action plan now. Create a new game plan for your business. And it can literally be done in just a few hours. This isn't something that needs to take days to put together. It's a living plan that you will adjust and evolve over time. So to finish up, I want to challenge you to write down at least 5 ideas that you thought of through this webinar that you can take action on today, that you can start taking action on. And the question I have is, are you ready to develop your 90-day business plan? And Action Coach is offering right now to help you really create a customized, individualized 90-day pivot plan for your business to help you survive while we're in this period now and thrive when we come out of it. Um, so I want to show just very quickly, let me go to the poll results. All right. So I'm going to share these results. Looks like we're doing mostly, looks like videos, website, email, and Facebook posts. So yeah, that's good. That's great. Okay, and then let me jump to the mindset. I thought that was a good one. Share the results here. Inspired and optimistic. So that's great. That's great. That's where we want to be, definitely. All right, so as we finish up, I want to communicate an opportunity right now that Action Coach is providing to the business community. And it's a complimentary 2-hour pivot strategy session. And it's really, it's using a set of tools and checklists that were just generated by our corporate office over the last 2 weeks, specifically to address the crisis that we're in and to help business owners go through the thought process of where they need to adjust and pivot their business. So it will look at the current constraints in your business that you faced before the COVID crisis. It'll also look at the adjustments and pivots you need to make right now during the crisis. We'll look ahead at what's your 3-year objective, what's your 3-year vision for the business, and what will it mean personally for you to achieve that 3-year objective. And finally, what are the obstacles that are likely to be encountered on the way to achieving that 3-year goal? And so these are things that we would go through in great detail to be able to come out of that with a solid action plan, a solid game plan for you to execute on immediately out of that 2-hour planning session. So highly encourage you, if you're interested in getting that scheduled with me over the next couple of weeks. This is my contact information. Reach out to me via email, and we'll get that on the calendar, a full 2 hours. It's a lot of material to go through, and would love to sit down and develop that for your business to help you survive and then thrive as we come out of it. So that is the end of our presentation, our webinar today. I thank each of you for joining, and I will say bye for now and look forward to working with each of you soon. So have a great day, and remember to be leaders. Thanks.